Hi, I'm Erica, one of the Senior Curriculum Managers here at Magoosh and a GMAT expert. And in today's video, we're continuing our series on GMAT word problems with a video on overlapping sets. Let's jump in. Now, if you haven't seen the previous video in this series, our video on work rate, I recommend checking that one out. But this one we're going to approach a little bit differently. So instead of first telling you the equations that you need to know to succeed, we're instead going to teach this one by going through our example problem. So strap in for a hard Magoosh overlapping sets problem. Okay, starting from the top, Paracelsus University has two kinds of professors, academic professors and professional professors. Okay, so first thing I'm going to notice here is that academic and professional are what's called complementary. So that means that professors can either be academic or professional, but they cannot be both academic and professional, and they cannot be neither academic nor professional. So they really have to be one or the other. This is a really common setup in overlapping sets problems, and it's going to really inform the way that we approach our math. So we're just going to note that now. It's going to be important later. Okay, at Paracelsus University, 60% of the professors are academic professors, cool, and 70% of the professors are tenured. Now, this is a new idea, right? So we know that professors can be either academic or professional, but we know that on top of that, they can either be tenured or not tenured. Okay, so we have this implied complement to tenured of not tenured, all right? And we're starting to see that there could be some overlaps here. So we could be academic and tenured, we could be professional and tenured, or we could be academic and not tenured, or professional and not tenured. Okay, so we're starting to see the potential for overlapping sets here. All right, moving on. If 90% of the professors at Paracelsus University are academic professors or tenured or both, if we weren't sure that this was an overlapping sets problem yet, that word both should clue us in. Both is an overlap, so words like both or only are going to be kind of clue words that we have an overlapping sets problem. All right, then what percent of the professional professors there are tenured? That's the thing that we are solving for. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so at this point, we know we're dealing with overlapping sets. We know we're dealing with academic versus professional and tenured versus not tenured. But how do we organize this information and deal with all of the numbers in this question? The best way, in most cases, when we're dealing with two overlapping sets, when we have complementary events or complementary features, whatever, is going to be setting up a double matrix. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 3 vertical lines and then 3 horizontal lines going through them. Doesn't have to be pretty. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my complements across the top and down the side. So let's start with academic and professional. So I'm going to skip this one. And I'm going to put academic right here and professional right here. Now, because those are complementary, we know that all of the academic professors and all of the professional professors should add up to our total, which I'm going to label with a capital T. Okay, now going down the side. So we know that our other set of complements are tenured and not tenured. Okay, and once again, those are complements, so they add up to the total. Now, what this does is it makes beautiful little cells that contain all of the different types of professors we could have. So this cell right here is going to be academic and tenured. This cell right here is going to be professional and tenured. This cell right here is going to be our total tenured professors. Okay, here we have academic and not tenured. Here we have professional and not tenured. And here we have our total not tenured. Down here we have our total academic, here we have our total professional, and here we have our total or all of our professors. Okay, now at this point, if I had a bunch of values, I would just start throwing the values in the table. However, I don't. They've made this problem a little bit more complex by only giving me percents, 60%, 70%, 90%, and I'm solving for a percent. Okay. Awesome. So this is kind of like what they did to us in our work rate problem from last week's video, where they gave us variables, right? And instead of deciding to do it algebraically with those variables, we decided instead we were going to plug in our own numbers for those variables and then solve in terms of those numbers. We're going to do the same thing here just to get rid of that element of complexity, that unknown. So since we have a percent here and we do not know what the total is, we can make up that total. And usually when we have percents, the easiest total to work with is 100. So I'm just going to decide that there are 100 professors in total at Paracelsus University, and then I'm going to solve using those percents, being very, very careful that I'm taking my percents of the right thing. Okay, jumping in. First piece of data is that 60% of the professors are academic. Okay, so I know that I have 100 professors, and I know that 60% of 100 is 60, so I have 60 total academic professors. Now, look at the magic of this table. Because I know that I have two values in this bottom row, I can solve for the third value in the bottom row. So I have 60 academic professors. I want 100 total professors. Because academic and professional are complementary, I know that there must be 40 professional professors. All right, let's do that again. 70% of the professors are tenured. Okay, so I have 100 professors, 70% of 100 is 70, so I have 70 tenured professors, which means that I must have 30 not tenured professors. Very cool. All right, but we have a little bit more information, and this is where this gets a little bit nasty. If 90% or 90% of 100, 90 of the professors at Paracelsus University are academic or tenured or both. Okay, let's work through that. So academic and tenured, that both situation is right here. But we know that it's cool if they're just academic, right? That's why they say academic or tenured or both. So it's cool if they're just academic, so academic and not tenured. It's also cool if they're just tenured, so tenured and professional instead of academic. So we know that any of those circled cells are okay here, and that makes up that 90% or that 90 out of 100. So what does that mean about the remaining cell? Well, we know that it's all supposed to add up to 100. So if those three cells make up 90, the remaining cell makes up 10. Now that we have that, we can fill in our other cells. So something plus 10 equals 30, that's got to be 20. Something plus 10 equals 40, that's got to be 30, and then confirming with this last cell, something plus 20 equals 60, that's got to be 40, and then 40 plus 30 does equal 70. And then just to confirm against that 90% thing, if I add up my circled ones, those should add up to 90. 40 plus 20 is 60, plus 30 is 90. Okay, great. Now we're not out of the woods yet because we have to make sure that we solve for the right thing. So what percent of the professional professors there are tenured? Now, a mistake that a lot of people are going to make is they're going to go, cool, I'm looking for professional and tenured, and that is okay, it's 30. So taking a look, and oh, there's no 30, which is actually a blessing in disguise. If there had been a 30, a lot of people would have picked it, and even if they did all of this work right up until now, they would get the question wrong because that's not what they're asking for. They're asking for of the professional professors, how many are tenured? So we're looking for out of the total professional professors, which is 40, out of that, how many of them are tenured? Well, that's that 30 number. So we're looking for 30 over 40, which is 3/4, which is 75%. And the answer is E. So overlapping sets word problems feature a lot of different pieces of information. However, with careful organization using a tool like a double matrix, with really careful reading of what we have and what we're solving for, and using word problems tricks like picking our own numbers, we're going to be able to solve these problems effectively and in a reasonable time frame. Now, you may be wondering why I didn't use a Venn diagram for that problem. And the reason is because I find that the vast majority of my students find a double matrix easier to label than they find a Venn diagram. I see that a lot of students end up getting confused about what to label their circles, whether to put numbers inside the circle or outside the circle, whereas with a double matrix or a matrix box, there is a pretty clear cell for every piece of information. So I really recommend using a double matrix whenever you can. So when you have two overlapping sets where each of those sets have complements. Now that said, there is a place for a Venn diagram on the GMAT, and that place is when you have three overlapping sets because a double matrix cannot handle that. Let me know in the comments if you'd like a video specifically on three overlapping sets. It comes up pretty rarely on the GMAT, but when it does come up, the way to handle it is going to be a Venn diagram. And that's another one of the most common word problems on the GMAT. Now, if you're looking for other hard math topics on the GMAT, I recommend checking out our video on the 6 hardest GMAT math questions. We talk about the 6 topics that most test takers find confusing, no matter what level the questions are at. Let us know if this video helped you by liking, and subscribe for more videos from me and the other experts at Magoosh. And if you have any questions or comments or suggestions for future videos, leave those in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.